Go around the badger.
Hey everyone, it is the Angry Honey Badger here, and it is time for another champion build video today where you're going to be playing as Pantheon in the jungle. So what we're going to do today in this video is we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about everything you need to know if you're looking to playing some Pantheon. So we're going to cover abilities, we're going to talk about items that you might want to pick up when playing him, his runes and his masteries, and maybe a little strategy behind playing some jungle Pantheon. Now, he still has played in top a little bit, but not quite as much as he is in the jungle now, so that's what the focus for this build will be on. So let's go ahead and start off by talking about his abilities. So starting off, first is his passive, which is his Aegis protection. Now, after attacking or casting 4 spells, Pantheon will block the next normal attack that will deal 40 damage or more to him. So it does work against big creeps in the jungle that deal that damage, so you get a little bit of protection there. It also will obviously help you against those standard attacks from enemy champions, which is nice to block those shots. It also does work on turret shots, so pretty helpful there, especially if you just want to dive. You get that like kind of one extra hit you don't have to worry about. Then we're actually going to get into a tiny bit of a fight here. Now Braum sees that our ADC's alone, but I walked up into that bush when they didn't have vision. We will be able to pick up the kill on him. We should have just got out at this point. We're taking a lot of minion aggro, and Quinn is dealing sufficient damage with her passive. We unfortunately will lose the ADC there, but we'll clean up on Quinn in a second. We'll die, but we do clean up on that. So I think our Braum will get a kill on that, but that's going to happen. It's okay. Anyways, moving on, our Q ability, which is our spear shot. What happens here is you're going to throw your spear out. It will deal physical damage to the target. It does scale from attack damage as well. If you do have a point into your Heartseeker strike, which we're going to put a point into next, what happens is your spear then has the ability to crit them if they're below 15% health, which is nice. Or can be nice. It does 150% actually damage against opponents, not really crit, but 150% damage, which is a lot. So at level 2, we do put a point into our Heartseeker strike. What happens here is passively you're going to gain 100% crit strike against people below 15% health, and their maximum health, that is. And then actively, Pantheon channels it for a certain duration, it's I think 0.75 seconds, and he's going to deal 3 attacks in a cone in front of them. They're going to deal damage. This also does do physical damage and scales from attack damage as well. And yeah, super nice. That is effectively your E ability. And then at level 3, we're going to usually try to gank. So we're going to put a point into our Aegis of Zionia? Is that what it's called? I might have gotten that wrong. Hopefully I'm not getting this wrong. Pantheon leaps at the target. What happens is he's going to stun them. This one actually does magic damage, and it scales from ability power, and you will stun them for 1 second. So, oh, and it does instantly refresh your passive. So you get that protective shield back up. So very nice. Because you're going to jump on them, it's nice to have that shield up if they turn around to standard attack you. So here we're actually going to ult in onto bottom lane, and we're going to catch out their ADC for a split second. She's going to jump into Valor, and then we're going to turn focus immediately, which causes her to come back in. We'll focus her back, but she's going to get back out of range, so we'll turn around and focus Braum. We decide to pick, the closest target. We want to get rid of the ADC, but if she's out of range, we got to switch to the other one. We'll be able to pick up actually both of these kills here. I'm going to flash forward and throw one more spear because it should be able to kill her, and that will help us pick up the double kill. So switching back and forth between who we needed to focus there ended up securing us the kill. Braum was closer, so we went for him after Valor got out of the range of our attacks. And once she came back in, we focused back on her because we want to kill her. She's easier to kill, and she's a high priority target. So killing her was the priority, but we ended up getting both because of smart focusing back and forth. So at level 6, what we did there to gank was we ganked with our Grand Skyfall. Now, you're going to channel for 2 seconds, and then you'll leap into the air. You get to crash down on anything that's within, your area that you can ult within. It used to be global way back in the day, but now it is not. Anybody who is hit in the center of the circle will take the most damage. They take a little bit less on the outsides, and it will slow them by 35% for 1 second. If channeling is canceled on this, though, because you can, it will reduce its cooldown to 10 seconds. We're going to do it again on bottom lane, kind of put it slightly behind them so they have to run towards our turret if they want to go anywhere. We'll pick up a couple assists on this gank to our ADC, which is where we want those kills to go. And yeah, another successful gank. Once you hit level 6 with Pantheon, you want to be jumping in with Grand Skyfall all over the place. So we were going to attempt a dragon there, but apparently we are not. And I think that is all she wrote, really. We kind of broke up in a weird spot there. We do pick up an assist, though, I guess. Worst things could happen, I guess. But that is your Grand Skyfall. You put points into it at levels 6, 11, and 16. So you're going to max out your Q first. Then you're going to max out your Heart Seeker Strike. And then finally, last, you max out that Aegis Stun. So very, very helpful to have just one point in that early so you can stun and get that extra shield up. And you can use that obviously in the jungle too to stun the big minion and get that shield back up again if you're just worried about damage while you are jungling early on. So you can use that too. Now, let's go to our items a little bit early on in this game, because what we do with Pantheon is he has strong ganks early on in the game, even if you're not using your ultimate. So what you can do is we pick up a handful of damage to secure these ganks. So what we did is we actually built the Elder Lizard, and we're going to ult in on top, actually, and we're actually going to kill him with the land, because he was close to the middle of it where it does the most damage, and I wanted to come help Hoyt, but apparently he did way more damage by the time it was finished channeling, and we're just going to be able to pick the kill up without trying, and we're going to secure a top turret, which is nice too. Global gold for the team. But going back to the build, now the damage that we get with Elder Lizard's helpful early on while ganking. We also have the first part of our boots because we want that, and then we have also built Bligewater Cutless, which will give us lifesteal and more attack damage, and that's helpful too. We can also then use its active to slow people too, which is always good while chasing or attempting to chase, and that's going to help us out too. Now, we focus on getting a decent amount of damage early on Pantheon for those ganks, but you can't continuously buy just straight damage throughout the rest of the game, and we do address this with some tankier items, because as you do drop in with Grand Skyfall, and you're going to jump on people's face to stun them, you're going to want some kind of defense, or else you'll immediately get turned on. If you get stunned or snared, you will be immediately blown up. So we're going to address this with a couple beefy defense items. So the first one that we have picked up, which will help us early on, is just some straight up health. We went with the Giant's Belt. We'll build that into something in just a little bit. The next portion of what we want to do with our Bligewater is build that actually into the Blade of the Ruined King. But that's a little bit more expensive than what we want to buy right away early on in the game. So we're not going to go straight to that. So we're going to come into top lane. We're actually going to get, I think, caught out by Udyr after chasing Lee Sin. I think we die. Yeah, we're going to die. But actually, Lux picks up a great kill if you watch. Boom, right there. Little snipe. I didn't get an assist, unfortunately, but good snipe. But so we don't want to go straight for that blade because it's just really expensive, and that's a problem. And if we did, you know, like we'd be starving ourselves for that defense by spending the gold on the attack speed. And, you know, the few other stats that Blade of the Ruined King gives you, but it's just expensive early on. Last time back at base, since we were killed, we did pick up some more defense. We picked up some armor with that chain vest armor, which we'll be building towards with the Giant's Belt in just a moment. So we'll get to that in a second. But let's go ahead and talk just a second about this gank coming up, because we're going to ult in on top. Now there's two of them up here. I know Lux obviously is coming with me. She's running with me in River. We're trying to get in here. I'm going to stun Riven, who's further away from getting out of tower range and closer to where we will both be. I'll be able to pick up the kill on her. Good lockdown by Lux, and then a great ultimate here will finish off Quinn. So we end up, you know, we didn't save the turret. We weren't there quite in time, but we did pick up a couple of kills, which will allow our bottom lane to push a little bit more and pick up that bottom turret, because their Quinn is dead, so they knew only Braum would be down there, and we'll be able to push out in top a little bit too. So a good exchange really overall for us. Could have been much worse. We're going to actually kill Udyr there too quick, I guess. So, but now we're going to die on the turret because that Lee Sin hurts. I think he kills us a couple times this game. Yeah, he's got straight offense. So now let's go ahead and talk quickly about runes and what you might want to consider when you are trying to set up your rune page for Jungle Pantheon. Now, what I like to do is we take attack damage marks. We want that early game damage not only for jungling, but then for those ganks, so we have that damage to get those successful ganks. As for our seals, we pick up armor seals. Obviously, the armor is going to be helping us in the jungle with survivability. I pick up the magic resist per level glyphs, so we scale with some magic resist as the game continues. And then as for our quintessences, there's two choices here that I usually will throw out if you're jungling any attack damage junglers. If you want the damage early, which is what I do, I take the physical attack damage quintessences. But if you are looking for some more movement speed, another good choice there would be, movement speed quintessences, because your ganks, if you just need a little bit more speed to close that gap before you can jump on them and stun them, that will be good. We picked up another kill there. I'm not sure if I got the kill. I wasn't watching, but Quinn was alone by her tower. There's 3 of us. We're going to jump on you. You can't just stick around your tower that close to it. If there's 3 and there's 1, why would they not jump on you and kill you? They can tank that. It's not going to take them more than 1 or 2 seconds to kill you. That's only 2 or 3, maybe 4 tower shots while running away. So if you can't defend your tower, if you can't clear the wave quickly, you need to usually back off. Maybe poke them a little bit, but you can't get anywhere near any of their crowd control. Because if you do, you'll get caught, you'll get killed. Then they'll get the other objective besides your life as an objective too. So that's a problem. We have finished off our Omen, which is what we did with the Giant's Belt and the Chain Vest armor, and we finished off our Blade of the Ruined King now. So now we have the awesomeness of that. We're going to get into a fight in mid lane, which we're getting slowed down. Now Riven jumps in, and I don't think it's a terrible idea, but she does it about 1 second before the rest of her team shows up. So she's going to get taken out rather quick. So does her Braum. We are now up and ahead. We are going to take the kill and get that on Quinn, and now we'll be able to clean up the enemy team and get a nice ace going for us. So that was a little bit too soon on Riven's part. They disengaged fairly on. We committed to the fight and kept it going. Our survivability, we used our Blade of the Ruined King obviously too in that fight to slow them and take that chunk of health out of them and help us out. But that'll allow us to push mid lane really hard, and now we just picked up a significant gold lead after that fight. So previously we were not in a commanding lead. We're in more of one now. We do get into another fight though. We haven't had a chance to return back to base, all of us. We do jump in. Aatrox picks up the immediate kill on the ADC, which is good, but he commits to the fight when the rest of us just want to go back because we're running low on mana and health on a couple of us, though. Lux gives us the support. We do have our ADC now moving up from the side, so we'll continue to try to fight this. I have to go and stun onto that Riven, who somehow gets away, but we're now keeping Lee Sin out of the fight as they clean up 2 more now. Unfortunately, I'll die here. I don't have any. I thought the rest of the team was going to commit to this, but apparently they weren't really all committing to it. But they'll clean him up after he kills me, and worse things could have happened. So we do get another good lead there, helping us out. So really went in our direction. I'm not too afraid to jump in and sacrifice myself if it will end up getting us all further ahead in the game. So worse things could have happened, really. But we did finish off the Blade of the Ruined King. We have the Omen, and we have the Elder Lizard. We also do have boots this game. Get what you want. I really like Merc Treads on my junglers because of the tenacity built into it, which helps you with those stuns and snares and slows and taunts and fears and all of that crowd control effect stuff. The tenacity is nice. Obviously, it's nice to pick up a little bit of magic resist too, if right now we're just pretty much picking up armor. So a little bit of magic resist will help so we can pick up some of those other big, beefier items with armor in them, because they'll just help you as that game goes on. So that's just kind of what we're doing with that. And yeah, we picked up that inhibitor. Now we're going to go over for a Baron because we have super minions pushing. We have numbers over here too. We have smite. We have everything we need. Now they do know that we are here, so they're actually going to run over here. There's the ward tossed in by Riven. Udyr wants to try to get in here and take a piece of this, trying to outsmite me. We're actually going to turn and focus on him, try to take him out before it's in smite range. I'm obviously keeping an eye on it closely so I can smite it at the right moment, which I will. And we'll be able to pick up a couple kills for the team, and that will definitely help us out now. Now it's a 3v5, and we have the Baron buff, so we can continue to push our advantage, and we'll see if we do. We do have our side lanes actually not in our favor for pushing, though, so we'd have to tank towers. We'll see what we do. We're kind of in a weird spot anyways, but that's what we did just a moment ago. Now, let's talk about masteries for a second. Because our orientation this game is going for that early damage. What we did with our, and I mean we still have damage late game too, really. We have a Blade of the Ruined King. We're going to always have some damage. But to also go with all of that damage, what we do with our masteries is we put 21 points into the offensive tree, which will help us out. Just pick up everything over there that helps with all of your physical damage and your ratios to help you out with damage. And then over in the defense, we do put 9 over there, helping us out with those jungle creeps and just a little bit more defense, which will help us out early on too and throughout the whole game. So at that last trip back, their team is primarily physical damage if we take a look at them right now. So we don't need to actually worry about magic resist this game too much. Typically, I would build a Banshees Veil at about this point in the game. I'll put it down in the description where you can read about everything else too. But because they're all physical damage, I'm actually going to go with more health and more armor, and then that AoE damage from the Sunfire cape, which we've just finished off. So that's what we went with next. You really do decent damage because of some of your passive damage you get from when they're below a certain amount of health, and just because Pantheon does decent damage. But the nice thing is, if you have more survivability later as the game goes on, you can use your passive more, which then you get, you know, more passively tanky because your passive is going to block those standard attacks. Now here is what I'd call kind of a dummy ult. I ulted when I was basically within running range and stunning. Don't ever do what I just did there. That was, I mean, I did it for mostly fun. I know we're going to win this game. But if you're ever in that situation in a team fight in mid lane or anywhere else, if they're within basically walking up to them and stunning them, don't start to channel your ultimate. Due to the channel time, you're basically letting them free hit other people on your team, and you're really not going to get the damage off on them that you want from it. It's just kind of a waste of time. It usually will never work out in your favor. So don't just channel your ult if you can basically see them in front of you. It's not worth your time. So that'll go a really long way in the future. Just a big heads up. Seriously, it's such a waste of time. So as you can see, they were all fighting, and then they all got out of it by the time I landed. It was just dumb. So usually, though, like I said, I'd be picking up a Banshees Veil at this point. There's a few other damage items I like to build actually later as the game goes on. I did actually pick up a longsword. Typically, about this point, I don't mind picking up either a Last Whisper or a Maw, if you want the Maw instead of going for a full defensive item, or the Ravenous Hydra. So those are all going to be down below as choices. I like all three of those for just kind of rounding things out. But that will be the game. Everything you need to know is in the description, and I'll just see all of you in the next build video. So don't put a point into it too early. There, we're going to get ulted by Gragas. We don't really get out right away. Luckily, we will get a shield, though, from our Q when we launch it back on him, which will not kill us. And he took way too many tower hits in that exchange. I also ignited him, too. So we're actually going to get out, and we get double buffs, which is always helpful. So